Hello everyone, my name is Nicoya and this is a Consew Model 18. It is a walking foot machine from the 1940s, so as of this video, probably about 80 years old. And it uses a 16x63 or 16x64 needle. Now, nothing wrong with that needle except for the fact that it's not too commonly available. You can find it online, of course, but you're not going to go down to your local sewing store and just pick up a box of them. On the other hand, these HAX1 domestic needles are obviously very readily available, and so I'm going to retime this machine to use these domestic needles. So let's dive into it. So to see why we need to do anything in the first place, let's have a look at these two needles. So this is the 16x63 needle here, and as we can see, it is, well, first of all, this is quite a thick needle, so it's a pretty beefy boy, but it is much longer than the domestic needle here, the HAX1. And so this one from the eye to the bottom of the shank is something like, I'm going to call that 42 millimeters, maybe 41 and a half, whereas the domestic HAX1, by my ruler at least, is more like 34, maybe 33 and a half, somewhere around there. Maybe 34 and a half. I can't remember. There is a spec for this online. But that's a big difference, and that means that when we go down here and we want to catch the thread with the hook, if we put a shorter needle in, the thread's not going to be anywhere near the hook to be able to catch it. So let's show you what that looks like. Alright, so I installed the HAX1 needle here. It is fully seated within the needle bar. And if we bring it around, you can see we do get below where the needle pit would be. I just removed it for the visibility here. But as the hook comes around, even from the high angle you're at, you're looking down at maybe about 45 degrees here, you can see that like we're not even touching the tip of the needle with the hook. So right in here is the hook that has to grab the thread. So if we just tried to sew like this, literally nothing would happen. And as we can see, this is an oscillating hook design, so a little bit different than the rotary hook you see in more modern machines. So we need to bring the needle bar down so that we actually have the hook passing behind the scarf of the needle, which is right up here. So let's do that. So the needle bar is moved up and down by the main shaft and a crank connected to it basically, and that ends up connecting to a clamp that clamps around the needle bar. And that's just held in place with a set screw behind this window. And so we can just loosen that off slightly. And now these are usually stuck pretty good if they've been in here a while, but this one I managed to loosen up beforehand. So all we need to do is wiggle that down, and I think about there should do it. So now we have the eye of the needle just in here, and if we rotate this around, we should see we're coming much further down, and as the hook comes here, we are passing behind the eye of the needle. And we really just want to be have the hook coming just about a millimeter or two behind the needle here. We don't want it all the way up here because you know, obviously the needle will be going very far through the fabric, but also the hook is going to be grabbing onto a part of the loop of the thread that's a lot less controlled. So you really want it just behind, just above the eye of the needle here, where the thread will be making its loop. So the thread, let me look here. So the thread will be making like a loop like that, and we want the hook to be coming in like that. And we got that here. I'm probably going to fine tune this a little just to make sure it's sewing perfectly, and then we'll give you a little demonstration. And of course, don't forget to tighten down the set screw again. So while we're here, I also want to give you a demonstration how to thread this machine because it's not really intuitive, especially if you're used to modern machines. So first of all, the bobbin, you want to use a regular class 15 bobbin. This is actually the same as modern domestic machines. This one's from my brother. And we get the thread into the notch, pull it under the check spring, and that's not the check spring, that's the tension spring, and out the little window. Then this goes with the doohickey up under here, and I'm gonna try and do this blind. And I got it in the right place, good. Probably need more of a tail on that. There we go. Now for the top thread. This is the confusing part. So we got our thread stand back here, and we come through this post here, and this is also a place where you can just mount a bobbin directly. You put a little felt pad under here so you don't scrape away the paint. But I'm using a thread stand with a cone. So we're supposed to come through the top hole here, and I am not doing good today with my depth perception. Now, depending on the thread you're using and the material you're sewing, you can also loop back and go through the bottom hole, but I'm doing some very light sewing today, so I will just go through the top hole. Then we come around to here and through this one here, which I'm trying to do blind. And I got that? Yes, I did. And I need to get a better angle on this. So now comes the confusing part. We come down into the tension discs. Now we're sort of stuck on the check spring here. We don't want that. We want to actually come around the check spring. Then we come around this L-shaped piece of metal. Now we come down into the check spring like that. So now we're in the check spring. Now we come into the take-up arm, like so, and then down through this thread guide here. Now there's usually a thread guide on the needle bar as well, but these break off really frequently. The good news is they're like, I don't know, $1.50 or $3 or something, so do yourself a favor and get yourself a new one. Now, last thing, after we've gone through this non-existent thread guide, is to go through the needle from left to right. Second try, not bad. So now we see if I manage to set the timing right. Oh, first try. So let's put a piece of fabric in here and see if it sews. Now, as you can obviously tell, I don't have a motor hooked up to here, and so I'm just going to be running this manually. Let's see, are we looking good? Nope, not that time. Not that time. There we go. Got it started. How are we looking? We're looking good. No, I think we missed on that one. No, we missed on that one. All right, I might need to drop the needle down a little bit lower. I'm going to fine tune that, and we'll do this demo again. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I just need to drop the needle down about another millimeter or so, because I got a little bit too greedy trying to keep it close to the keep the hook close to the eye here, but needed just a little smidge more. So put a piece of fabric in, drop the foot, and let's see if I'm making a lyre out of myself. Yep, we're looping. We caught it. We caught it. We caught it. We caught it. Now, I can't run this hand wheel at 1400 stitches per minute, which is the maximum of this machine supports. So, can't tell you if this will work that fast, but we are hitting every stitch, I believe, so far, and we have successfully converted this machine to run on a domestic needle. Now, while you're doing these adjustments, one thing you will want to watch out for is the check spring, because if the check spring is misadjusted, this can look a lot like a timing issue, because the needle will go down, the hook will come across, and it just won't grab the loop of thread. So what you want is you want the check spring to come to a rest as we're coming down. Now, watch the thread very carefully here. As the needle just starts to come up, the thread goes slack. That's exactly what you want here, because that means that the hook, which you see just grab the thread, can grab it, and we're not pulling the loop on the back here too tight for it to grab. So as you can see, that's a successful stitch. Come down again, watch the thread here. It will just relax as the needle starts to come up. There it goes. Hook grabbed it, and we're good to go. So I think that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.